All right, good morning. Good Lord, the chat's already filling up. I hope you guys are ready for a show today. And here we go. Okay. Good morning. Got away from you a little bit there. Got a couple of things going on in the background here. So, I don't know if y'all noticed, but I've shifted the camera slightly away from you a little bit there. Change what's in couple of things going on in the background here. So, to include, I just added a stack of ammo cans in the corner here with the coconut head on top. Change what's and I'm noticing now that my microphone is blocking out my American flag. I just added a stack of ammo cans in the corner here with the coconut head on top. Anyway, I think it looks good. What do y'all think? I just added a stack of ammo cans. I am hearing my audio bleed through from there it is on Rumble. Okay, echo fixed. Sorry about that, guys. So anyway, like I said, I added the ammo cans, and I want to tell you about the ammo cans. I want to tell you that there's a story behind those ammo cans, and this is I'm sure I'm not the only soldier that did this, but the ammo cans there, all of those ammo cans were emptied in combat. Right? There's three ammo cans here. I've got more floating around, but these three in particular were emptied in combat. I've got a few more from that, but so what happened was when we were getting ready to come home, these were just a really convenient way to pack stuff to mail home, so that we didn't have to put it in check bags or whatever to ship it to carry it home on the plane. So anything we didn't want to have locked up in a container for months or whatever, anything like that. So I packed these with things like some of my disposable electronics, personal items that were I think one of them was actually just full of good socks. Right, we wrapped them up and mailed them home. But from the bottom to the top, that's the can of 40 millimeter grenades that we used to burn down the city of San Jose after we were ambushed by a vehicle-borne IED out of that location. That can of 7.62 fed the 240 Bravo that sat on one of our backup gun trucks, and then that can of 5.56 was the last can that I emptied into my personal combat load. The last time I refitted my ammo, refitted my magazines, in Afghanistan before we left. And that was, I want to say that was in May of 2011, because we flew out at the end of June. So early May that year was the last time I actually fired any rounds downrange. Once it's time to go home, you go into this kind of administrative process and spend weeks counting bullets, taking inventory of equipment, packing stuff into connexes, getting it all shipped together, counting soldiers to make sure you got them all that kind of stuff, because you don't want to leave the museum without one of the field trip kids. So, but yeah, I think before Christmas, if I could find it, I'd like to find a can that's larger than the 40 millimeter can, which I know it's a bit of a tall ask, but I'd like to, they're not straight, right, on purpose. I've got them kind of wonky jawed, just for that visual texture. But I think it'd be really cool if I could find one can larger than the 40 millimeter can on the bottom, and maybe one can smaller than the 5.56 can on the top, and get some Christmas lights on that son of a bitch. Praise the Lord, pass the ammunition. It's an ammo can Christmas tree. So, if y'all let me know what you think about that idea. So it is Firearms Friday. And I do have some DGUs pulled up, and that is what we're going to do this morning. That said, I want to take a moment to talk to mention two things about the DNC, because last night was the last night of the DNC, and Kamala did her speech. And I have made it a point not to watch any of the DNC. Waller right there. Holy hot dog shit, the DNC last night. So many lies. The biggest, no surprise guest, right? Yeah, there was a lot of hype around there being some surprise guest last night. Apparently that didn't happen. Maybe the surprise guest was the musical closeout. But first, let me talk about Tim Walz's son, okay? Gus Walz. So I've been seeing on X, and this is something you'll see a lot. I've been seeing a lot of shitlibs on X criticizing conservatives for giving Gus Walz a hard time about crying while his dad was on stage, right? And so thing one, like I said, you'll see this on X often. I've been seeing shitlibs harass conservatives about giving Gus a hard time. What I haven't seen is the conservatives actually giving the kid a hard time online, right? One or two comments here or there, but they're trying to play it like there's this whole, like everybody who's ever owned a red hat hates the mentally disabled. And there's some things you need to know. Okay, for one, the criticism is not happening. Not in any significant volume. By a wide margin, we conservatives tend to leave the enemy's kids alone, right? We're not the party of baby killers. We're not the party that parked an abortion food truck outside of our political rally. We're not the party who, at our national convention, murdered 50 babies. That's not us. We don't kill kids. That's what they do. It's always projection, right? It's always confession through projection. And the other thing that's important to understand is what actually happened there. Tim Walz is a relatively unknown, almost entirely unknown political agent who was just plucked from obscurity by the Kamala Harris campaign because he has the leftist right think on child mutilation. He is pro sterilizing your babies through genital mutilation. He's pro baby murder. He's pro teenage suicide. That's who this guy is. He's a monster, right? Get past all the shit about he stolen valor and he ditched his soldiers. That's all. Yeah, it's bad. But who he is as a politician is so much worse, right? You don't have to try to make it worse. It's that bad. But it gets even worse because let me tell you what actually happened there. He got up on that stage and he told the world about the emotional and trying journey that was his wife's IVF treatment so that they could have children because they struggled to. Okay, one, if that's the case, Gus appears to be a pretty good argument against IVF. Right? No hate for the kid, but if you're not suited to making children and then you go out of your way artificially to force that production, there may be some concerns that are worth discussing. Two, they never did it. They never did the IVF. They did some completely different procedure. It was entirely internal. Right? They did not do the IVF thing. Oh no, Silent Running says my mic level on Rumble is very low. That's weird. Okay, I hate to get distracted, but Silent Running, you get, and anybody else in there, let me know, how do we sound on YouTube, on X, on Facebook? Because Silent Running saying we don't sound good on Rumble. So I don't know what could cause that. Anyway, they never did the IVF treatment that the libs are all up in arms about. Oh, I just got booted from the chat log here. I cannot see my people. But they never had that. So that's a lie. So he's telling a lie there. And then the other thing, oh, Jesus Christ, the bicycles. The other thing is, like I said before, Tim Walz is a pretty obscure, unknown politician before he was plucked out of obscurity to run for vice president now, right? And that means something else as well. Okay, Xander Max says, my audio levels are extremely low and the sound effects are extremely loud. Well, I'm going to have to do some level balancing and see what I can figure out there. Thank you for that feedback, and I will do I'll do what I need to do to fix that. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet, but we'll figure it out. By God. B says, I bet it's because of the background noise. That may be. There shouldn't be much background noise right now. All the fans are off. Anyway, Tim Walz came from nowhere. And there's another piece of information that goes with that. Nobody knew about his son. Right? So anybody who was criticizing the kid, what they saw was not a mentally disabled, mentally handicapped kid with a learning disability, whatever. What they saw was an 18-year-old, what most of us conservatives would think of as a grown-ass man, getting way too emotional about his daddy up on stage lying. And I do say lying intentionally. Right? There's an important categorical distinction to be made. Tim Walz knows that the things that he's saying on that stage are false. And he did it on purpose. That's a lie. but it was a trap because he and his supporters know, he and his advisors know that none of you knew his son had a learning disability, mentally disabled, whatever. And so you did not know when you criticize, if you're one of those that criticized him, you didn't know that you were criticizing a poor little handicapped boy. You thought that you were criticizing a grown-ass man. It's a trap. It was done on purpose. They put him out there as a sacrificial lamb because that's what Democrats do. They sacrifice their children to Moloch. They put him out there as a little sacrificial lamb so that he would get hurt emotionally, personally, directly. I don't know what else there is to say about it. Now, on the audio issue, I've got some other microphones. It may just be time for this one to be retired. It may even be that the cable I've got, this is not the same cable that I had hooked up in the old studio because the configuration here, I had to use a longer cable, so I had to take off the, this, I actually have it right here. This is the much shorter and much more expensive cable that used to run this microphone. But I've got other microphones. We'll figure something out. Waller said, and he's got to be the most poorly vetted national level politician. Something is super funny here. Yeah, Waller, and this is the last thing I'm going to say before, because I said I had two things I wanted to talk about from the DNC. So we'll get to the other thing in just a second. It really does feel like they're intentionally trying to. There's only a couple of options here, right? Kamala and Tim Walz are probably the worst political ticket I've ever seen, right? And I mean that in a very analytical and professional sense. In a lot of ways, yes, they're the worst on policy. They're a couple of baby-killing communists, but it's probably the least competent pair of politicians who have ever been placed at the top of a major party's ticket. And I know. We're talking about a world that included McCain, but probably the least competent pair of politicians that have ever been placed at the top of the ticket, which tells me that either they know they can't win, and so they're throwing out a couple of swingers. You know, it's the bottom of the ninth. There's no way you're bringing this one back. You're about to lose the game. So you don't send your star pitcher out to risk hurting his arm on a game you can't win. Right? So that's one option. The other possibility is they've already decided that they're going to fortify the shit out of this election, steal it again. In which case, the fact of the matter is there is no such thing as an election anymore. And I'm sorry, guys. I know we're 20 minutes in, and I haven't gotten to DGUs yet, but this was the big DNC thing this week, and it's over now. But the other thing that just blew my mind, just struck me as amazing. Kamala Harris got up on that stage last night. She told the personal story of being a young brown girl and blah, 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 struggle, hard work. They're trash. And then she went on to just lie. Steven Crowder did the live fact check thing, but she said that the Biden-Harris administration implemented caps on insulin, which even if I was in favor of, I'd still have to come out and say, no, that's the thing Trump did. It is. Trump did. So what happened? Trump did that, and then they undid that, and then they did it again so they could say they did it. Just went on and on. Oh, the economy's strong. No, it's not. We just saw the jobs report. You lied about 1 million jobs. You just made up 1 million jobs out of whole cloth that never existed. You're trash. pure trash. And what's mind-blowing, people will vote for that. And Crowder made a point that I think was very, very salient, very, very cogent. If Kamala wins, there is no world in which this election was not stolen. Because if people vote for Kamala Harris based on their belief that the things she has said to them were true, right, which is the only way a person could vote for Kamala Harris, right? You vote for Kamala Harris because you believe when she says that Trump plans on instituting a national level abortion ban, a thing that he has said clearly he will not do. Doesn't matter that I want him to do it, right? I wish I could vote for the Donald Trump that the left is afraid he is. I wish that the Donald Trump that the left fearmongers their voters into believing that Donald Trump, that's the president I want to vote for. But we don't have that guy. We have the real Donald Trump, who is soft on abortion. He's not a pro-abortion psychopath like Harrison Walls, but he's soft on the issue. If you vote for Kamala based on your belief that the things she has told you about Donald Trump and the promises that she has made based on the absolutely tragically failed record of the Biden-Harris campaign, then you have been defrauded. You have voted based on beliefs that were built on false premises. You have been lied to, misled, disinformed, and defrauded. So even if it's a completely free and fair election and she actually gets the most votes, it will have been the result of a complete and utter fraud. I have never, and I do this, I have never seen a politician go out on a stage and just tell lie after lie after lie. And I don't mean I disagree with her claim. I don't mean I have a different opinion of what she said. No. She made explicit, specific fact claim after explicit, specific fact claim, which is verifiably false. Kind of like how Joe Biden keeps repeating the very fine people hoax line. Oh, Donald Trump said there were very fine people on both sides, explicitly endorsing Nazis and white supremacists. My God. Shut the fuck up. You're lying. We know you're lying. We've seen the clip. We know what he said. And he said, not fucking that. So, okay. Those are the things that I had to get those off my chest. So we're not going to have a half-hour show this morning because I got y'all all the way here. Thanks for sticking with me for that. And now we're going to do some DGUs. I hope y'all stick around for some of these. Let's do it. And I know I did the thing. I just inadvertently, I hadn't intended to go that long or that hard on that particular topic. So I have inadvertently clickbaited you into 27 minutes of not what I intended to get you with. But here's the show. This is Firearms Friday. Aha. In fact, let me do this. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Firearms Friday, and right here is where I'm going to recut this and publish something that doesn't include all that shit about the DNC. So, thanks for joining us, and let's get some DGUs. Brink's armored truck driver disarmed, held hostage, and robbed of $275,000. Okay. Couple things out of that headline. Brink's is armed security. So I'm going to assume just off that headline, in order for this to have gone down this way, I'm assuming there was more than one assailant, because, yeah, this is how you get shot. But $275,000, not a bad take, right? Now, when I say not a bad take, I'm not doing that for $275,000. However, the level of people who do engage in crimes that only pay a little over $250,000. I mean, Jesus Christ, $250,000? I mean, I'll get up in the morning and go to work for $250,000, but I'm too old to risk my life in gunfights for $250,000 anymore. You know, I mean, there was a time that I did it for the slave wages of an enlisted soldier, but and obviously war is a little different than robbing Brink's trucks. But Waller says that's only one bag. But 275, you know, the average take when somebody robs a bank is I don't. We looked at these figures before. I think it was like $12,000 or $13,000, something like that. And you know, once I learned that, because you know, you go in to rob a bank and you think about what you see in movies, and they go in to rob the bank and somebody has the cashiers empty all the registers. What's that get you? A couple or $3,000? Maybe $5,000 or $6,000. You empty all the registers at the counter in your average bank. Maybe tops, and I doubt it's that much. But the movies want you to think that, oh, but there's this vault over here that's just got basically the entire net worth of the country is in every bank vault. No, that's not how it happens. They don't keep that much fucking cash on hand. And well, unless you've got a really complicated plan that includes some explosives, you're not getting in that vault. All right, so more often than not, you talk about somebody robbing a bank, they're walking out with a week's paycheck. Well, okay, a month's income for somebody who's working a real job. So yeah, no. Waller says the average truck is holding 6.5 million. Now that's another matter. See, if the average truck is holding 6.5 million and you're going to go do the do, don't rob the truck. Steal the truck. Drive it to another truck. Drive that truck to another. You should be playing the Matroshka shell game, comrade. But so we got a Brink's armed truck driver disarmed, held hostage, and robbed of just over $250,000. Charlotte, North Carolina. A daring armed robbery unfolded in Northeast Charlotte on Wednesday, resulting in the theft of approximately $275,000 from a Brink's armored truck. According to the Charlotte Mecklenburg, good God, that's a mouthful. According to the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, the incident occurred shortly after 4 p.m. at the Belgate Shopping Center on IKEA Boulevard. That's what happened. The criminals showed up, masks on, and then they had to assemble. And then the truck drivers had to assemble their armored truck. Insert tab A into slot B. Officers were dispatched to the scene following reports of an armed robbery. Upon arrival, they learned that two suspects had not only stolen the Brink's employee's firearm, holy shit, a 9mm pistol, but you see, two suspects, like I said, from the headline alone, that tactically that had to have been more than one guy, but also forced the driver into the truck, holding him hostage while they made off with bags containing a significant sum of cash. A significant sum of cash. Okay. $275,000 was a significant sum of cash when Donald Trump was still the president. But, as Tim Pool keeps saying, whipped cream is $6 a can! The heist highlights the vulnerability of armored trucks, which, despite their hardened exteriors and security protocols, can still become targets for such brazen crimes. Brazen indeed. 4 p.m. Basically, it's like, yo, it's rush hour. Let's do a traffic crime. Waller correctly points out, yeah, cash is heavy AF though. But if you get the reserve truck before it gets to the truck depot, it has about 20 to 70 million. Yeah. Yeah, just for clarification, for a little perspective. Wait. a pallet of cash, $1 million is a pallet of $1 bills in a 10-foot cube on a side. Right? So $1 million in cash is enough $1 bills to just about fill the space from the desk to the wall. No, a little more than, because this ceiling is only 9 foot. So yeah, cash is heavy AF. And don't get me started on gold. Woo! you ever see one of them heist movies where they're stealing a bunch of gold bricks and you got guys just throwing them into a bag? No, that's not how that works. If you've never hit a man in the face with a gold brick, my man, before you try to add that to your bucket list, and you should, I mean, it's a special occasion. You need to be curling the big bells. So, at this time, CMPD has not released any information regarding the suspects or potential arrests, leaving many questions unanswered. Authorities are urging anyone with information about the robbery to contact Charlotte. Okay, Okay. I don't read the articles before we do the show on purpose for fun. This one, that's a news article. Somebody got robbed. There's no DGU in there, so I'm a little disappointed in that article. And now I'm worried about how this one's going to go from the same source. It says York County residents on edge after multiple homes hit by bullets. That headline sounds like not a DGU, but I'm going to get an opportunity to give you a bit of a safety brief, and we'll roll with it. Rock Hill, South Carolina. Well, we're just moving on down. I wonder if the next one happened in Georgia. A wave of fear has gripped a typically peaceful neighborhood in rural York County as an unidentified individual has unleashed a series of reckless gunfire incidents over multiple nights. 3 homes in Rock Hill have already been struck by bullets, leaving residents anxiously wondering who might be next. One homeowner whose property was hit described the terrifying moment when a bullet pierced the wall just feet from where they were resting. We were lying in bed just on the other side of this wall, and the bullet hit right here. The shaken homeowner recounted, the normally serene and quiet community has been jolted by these dangerous acts, some of which have been captured on home security cameras. Luckily, no one was injured. Okay, this isn't a DGU. So, safety tip. When you fire a gun, you cannot miss. You might not hit what you were aiming at, but you're going to hit something. Bullets that do not hit their intended target do not magically disapparate into the nebulous penumbra of unenumerated consequences. They hit something. That's why responsible firearms enthusiasts like myself have a backstop. Now, granted, until I get my good tractor, Yobo, my backstop is an ugly-ass pile of trash covered in dirt. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's an entire old Ford pickup truck under that pile. But it is a backstop with targets on it, and we put bullets into that target. Now, I mean, hypothetically, if I were to miss, Waller, you know, my rounds would go into that backstop. Now, okay, in all fairness, I can hit every single shot I take. I'm shooting at targets, stapled to a piece of plywood. So I'm putting rounds through the target and into the backstop, even if I never miss. Um, Dave Mathey says it is Firearm Friday. Doesn't always have to be TG related. That's fair. Fee says if you mow your lawn and find a vehicle, yeah, you might live in Mitchell. No, I love our little town. I don't know anybody here. Because there isn't anybody here. Local population is 173. Because we moved here. Oh, that's sexy numbers. Anyway, so you don't fire off in the air. You know, you don't raise your gun up in the air and fire straight up like okay, Xander Mack. That you and I need to do a show sometime, and I'll be perfectly candid with you in that regard. I have not continued training to nearly the level that I used to. When I was active duty, I was part of a unit that we did 400% more firearms training than your normal military unit. We were a special unit. The army writ large does firearms qualification on just their main battle rifle, right? One of those. Once a year. My unit did that qualification range on those and that and that and something similar to the multiple grenade launcher. I mean, similar in that it fired 40 millimeter grenades. But we did once a quarter. We would do the M9s, the M4/M16, whatever, you know, pick your flavor. The 240 Bravo, the 249, the Montus, and we usually got to rip not an M7, not an M79. We do the AT4s for qual. And is that everybody? Yeah, and we did those once a quarter. And we did those in shoot houses. We did those in stress fire scenarios, which is, you know, you basically you prep your weapon and then you go and do a couple hours of PT and then go and do target discrimination firing scenarios where you've got, you know, you've got the paper cutout where, you know, it's the bad guy holding the woman hostage and you got to try and shoot him in the head without hitting her, or you've got the different shapes and, you know, target discrimination training under stress and duress. So I used to challenge the shit out of myself, and yes, I missed shots when we did that. That's perfectly fair. Perfectly fair. I would love, and I'm in a better position to do it now, to get back to doing some of that live shoot training type of stuff. And I've got the time again. So yeah, Alex, basically what I'm saying is we should hang out. But it's been a while. I'm sure I'm rusty, and I was always more of a rifleman than a pistol man. But that's very fair. Dave says probably everything but an M24. I mean, the kitchen sink. I can run one of those too. Yeah, babe, I did the dishes last night, by the way. So let's do one more so that hopefully we get. Oh. Okay. Let's do this one. Why we carry. Man follows woman into quick trip bathroom and kills her with a hammer. I am about to have done a whole Friday without any actual DGUs. Be okay. That's interesting that the headline doesn't include a description. Oh shit, we're back in North Carolina. A tragic incident unfolded late Saturday night at a Quick Trip gas station in North Carolina where a woman was brutally murdered in the bathroom. The crime took place on Trailer Drive near North Graham Street and Interstate 85. The victim, 47-year-old Glendina Dixon, was attacked with a hammer by 43-year-old Sam Rory, who allegedly followed her into the store before launching the deadly assault. Surveillance footage captured the harrowing moments leading up to the attack. Dixon is seen entering the gas station before heading to the restroom, with Rory trailing behind her. In a chilling turn of events, Rory is then seen returning to his truck to retrieve a hammer. Moments later, he follows Dixon into the women's bathroom where the attack occurred. I mean, I'm not looking to justify this guy, but it seems bizarre that the way the story reads there, he just kind of came in and they both came in the building and then he just went and got a hammer and murdered her. Don't get me wrong, Kamala Harris is the current nominee for the Democrat Party. There are crazy fucking people out there, so I don't doubt that it happened necessarily, but it feels like there should be some, some witness seeing them argue or something, maybe, but oh man, Xander Matthews, go. No pun intended. Xander, I'm going to say you're a coward. You should intend your puns. Mean it, man. A 911 call was made at approximately 11:15 by a witness inside the restroom who heard the commotion. The witness, upon exiting her stall, discovered Dixon lying on the floor, bleeding heavily from the head. Holy shit! Imagine for a moment. Whew. Imagine for a moment you are sitting on the toilet in a stall in a public bathroom and you suddenly hear the wet, crackly, squelching sounds of a human skull being prolapsed through traumatic blunt force trauma. It's difficult for me to picture myself in that particular position because I'm a bit of a persnickety asshole. I don't poop in public. And in part, that's not just like a personal preference proclivity thing. In part, because I'm wearing a gun, and I know that might be a little TMI, but for real, if I'm using a public restroom, I'm wearing a firearm, and it is, it's asking quite a bit for me to take off my because I wear a tuck holster. So it's a bit tricky if I've got to use a public accommodation in that way, because I've got to take the gun off and stick it in my pocket where now it's kind of cumbersome and heavy, or I've got to set it on, God forbid, the public bathroom floor. Not an option. So that's not what's happening. If I happen to be in the bathroom when a hammer murderer comes in after somebody, well, I'm not in a stall. Almost guaranteed. But Jesus, just, you got to imagine, obviously we're talking about an unarmed woman in the stall. You're an unarmed woman in a public bathroom stall, and you hear that going on outside. God, what do you do? Because let's be reasonable. Let's be real. The fact of the matter is, by the time you're hearing the noises, it's probably too late to intercede. And even if it's not too late to intercede, it's worth doing a little math here. Can you expect a positive outcome from your intercession, which, by the way, you are doing at great risk to yourself, right? And don't get me wrong, if you are armed, coming out of that stall, weapon drawn, and trying to do something to save that life, you're taking some risk there as well, but significantly less than just walking out with your pants around your ankles, shit on your hands, and trying to choke him out before he can beat your head in with a hammer. That's tough. That woman right there is going to have a hard time. Fee says you tuck your legs up and hope they don't see you, or get ready to kick if someone opens your door. Yeah, those stall doors generally open in, so as soon as it starts to creak a little bit, get it. But that's, whew. Police investigations have revealed that Dixon and Rory were acquainted, though the motive behind the attack remains unclear. Rory, who has a history of violent crime, you don't say. Pennies to pesos, he has a history of drug abuse, alcoholism, meth, something else going on there probably. Rory was quickly identified and apprehended by authorities. He has since been charged with murder. I should hope so. First encounter with the law in 1989 at the age of 18. He was convicted of second-degree murder and served time before his release in 95. So this guy, okay, like I said a minute ago, we live in a world where Kamala Harris is the nominee for the Democrat ticket. There are these people in the world, right? This is not a positive human being. In fact, I would go so far as to say that this hammer murderer did some hammer murdering because the last time he did some murdering, he wasn't executed for the crime. Now, in fairness, it says he was 18 and it was second-degree murder, so could easily be some important mitigating details there that are blah, 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 blah. Batman said that if you kill a killer, the number of killers in the world stays the same. It's true. Speaking as someone with experience in this, that's why you have to keep killing them. Yeah, 1-to-1. 1-to-1, that's a zero-sum game. If we go 1-to-1, we end up with a 50% population. We're Thanos. But if the handful of us out there doing the Lord's work just do it again, and you're making positive progress. I shit you not, there was a time that I was in a place where there were terrorists, and I had to tell a commanding officer and a sergeant major that I was playing video games today because, oh, look at that, I'm waiting on your paperwork, I'm out of terrorists. That shit can happen if you just do the work. So when you don't solve criminals with a toaster and a bed sheet, for example, they criminal more. I mean, don't take my word for it. Go look at the statistics. Nationally, our police forces have a near statistical 50% chance of solving your homicide. Places like Rockdale County, where I just left with my family, had a statistical 0% homicide solve rate. That's right. If you murder people in Conyers, Georgia, The only way you get caught is if you hang around with the 3 dead bodies in Honey Creek and turn yourself in. Statistically. But recidivism rates are astronomical. In fact, recidivism rates, alarmingly, are even higher than rates of desistance, which are so high as to mitigate your expectation of the veracity of the claim to begin with. So, I am going to go ahead and put a pin in it right there. I have got a chainsaw to fix and a lot. Y'all, okay. Little feel-good story. So, we're in the new place. I'm going to close on this. We're in the new place, right? My wife and kids are out at the farm right now, at Dad's farm, playing with the birds and swimming in the pool and having a big old time. And doing some schoolwork, I imagine, because homeschool. And I spent my day yesterday getting shit done. And I was talking to my dad about this yesterday afternoon. I did not do anything yesterday that I can't do while my kids and my wife are here. Right? You know, I took the chainsaw, went cut down some bushes and trees and worked on clearing the path that goes to the back of the property. We bought the place in May. And I had not yet been to the back of the property. I've got enough land here that it's a bit of a task for my old fat ass to walk the whole thing in one go. It's chunk, right? Plus, there's this wonderful path that goes all the way to the back. That's just it's been neglected for a while. Sorry, Ken. I don't mean to dog you out on the property there. I know you're a working man, but it was a little overgrown and not bad. I mean, not real bad, but just enough that it was inconvenient to walk down because there were a good half a dozen or so spots where there's just like this big thorny bramble or great big fallen tree blocking the path, and you got to kind of crawl out into the woods to go around these obstructions. So I spent a lot of time yesterday clearing those obstructions and actually walked all the way back, I think, all the way back to the property, to the back of the property. And there's this great big beautiful clearing in the woods back there. And I'm seeing park benches and picnic blankets and all that good stuff eventually going back there. But yeah, I actually got to the back of the property for the first time yesterday, and it just felt awesome. And in fact, as soon as the show's over this morning, before I do any actual work, I'm just going to take a walk. I'm just going to walk back there and walk just to the back of the property and back here again. And I busted my ass to get us here, and it was worth every bit of it. Except for maybe that one time that the stairs broke and I fell down into the black moldy basement at that one condemned house I was shooting. But you know, it was every bit of it was worth the work. So, y'all, thanks for watching this morning, and y'all be safe out there. Safety brief: don't drive drink, don't fry bacon naked, and sorry, I got distracted. Pit Danny asked, how many acres? 8 acres. 8 acres. And we've got a nice little creek. It's a large creek that runs right along the edge of the property. It's beautiful. Incidentally, Your Majesty, I looked at the plat, and I think the creek is the edge of the property on that side all the way down it. So, but that's okay. I still got a big old chunk. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Don't drive drink. Don't fry bacon naked, and keep calm and carry one. Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we will see you on Monday.